The Delhi Sultanate Part 3. In today's session, we will learn about the last three dynasties of the Delhi Sultanate, the Tughlaq dynasty, the Sayyid dynasty and the Lodi dynasty. The Tughlaq dynasty. Tughlaq dynasty ruled from 1320 AD to 1414 AD. Ghazi Tughlaq was the first ruler of this dynasty who ascended the throne in 1320 and assumed the title of Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. He further extended his empire by capturing Telangana and parts of Bengal. But his rule was for a very short period as he died in 1325 when he stabbed on a wooden platform built in his honor by his son Oleg Khan collapsed. Collapsed means fallen down. According to some historians, it is still not known whether this incident was a planned one or accident. Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq was succeeded by his son Oleg Khan, who ascended the throne in 1325 and assumed the title of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. He further extended his kingdom as far as Madurai in south, and he also destroyed Ravasamudra, that was the capital of the Hoysalas. He also wanted to capture Iraq and China, but both his expeditions failed. We come to know about Muhammad bin Tughlaq from the historian Zawuddin Barni and from the Arab traveller from North Africa Ibn Battuta who visited India during the reign of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Ibn Battuta had written about him that Muhammad was a man of extremes who delighted in giving presents and shedding blood. Means, according to this, he was very much fond of giving huge amount of gifts to people, but at the same time he was also very much fond of killing people in the battle. Then Sultan was a man of letters, intelligence, creative and well versed in science with innovative ideas, but he was a very poor planner. Most of his schemes failed for the lack of a practical approach and planning. For this, many historians used to call him as Mad Sultan and the wisest fool in Indian history. Now, one by one, we'll discuss some of the schemes of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. First, we will discuss about the taxation in Doab. Muhammad bin Tughlaq wanted to raise the revenues by 5 to 10% by increasing the land tax and some other taxes. He wanted to raise these revenues for maintaining a strong government and a strong army. In 1326, he increased the taxation in the Doab region, which was a territory between the river Ganga and the river Yamuna. When already a severe famine means shortage of food was going on in that area because of failures of rain. People revolted against this, but then also Sultan's officers collected the revenue mercilessly, means without giving any relaxation to the cultivators. When Sultan realized his mistake, he tried to help the cultivators by giving loans for buying seeds, bullocks, etc. He also made arrangements for the digging up of wells for irrigation purposes, but all his scheme failed. When the loans reached the cultivators, already by that time the cultivators had nothing to eat, so they used the money given in terms of loans for meeting their basic needs. And in this way, as a result, even the usual revenue, means the regular revenue which was collected earlier, could not be realized from the Doab region. And in this way, his first scheme failed. Another major scheme of Muhammad Tughlaq which proved to be a failure was the transfer of capital. Capital means the city or town that functions as the seat of government and administrative center of a country, kingdom or region. In 1327, he decided to transfer his capital from Delhi to Devagiri, which was later renamed as Daulatabad, and uh, the reason behind shifting the capital was that first to prevent his kingdom from the raids of Mongol, and secondly Devagiri was situated at a central point from where the administration was very easy of his vast kingdom in the south and in the north. But his scheme failed. His idea of shifting the capital was good, but he made a mistake here. He asked his entire population to shift to Devagiri as well. Devagiri was a city more than 1500 kilometers away from Delhi. As king's rule was to be followed, people went there and they suffered greatly from fatigue, means tiredness, hardship and mental torture. Many of its citizens reached the city tired and sick, and most of them died on the way. When Muhammad Tughlaq realized his mistake, he again ordered to shift his capital from Daulatabad to Delhi, and he asked the people to return to their homes in Delhi. This made him even more unpopular with the people. So this proved to be a big failure for him. Another major scheme of Muhammad Tughlaq which proved to be a failure was the introduction of token currency. Token currency means notes or coins for which the value written on them is greater than the value of the materials they are made from. Muhammad Tughlaq in 1329 introduced the token currency, proclaiming that brass and copper coins could have the same use as that of gold and silver coins. It means that the purchasing power or the purchasing value of brass, copper, gold and silver coins was now equal. For example, a 1 gram coin of bronze could buy the same thing as a 1 gram coin of silver or gold. Soon, gold and silver coins disappeared from the market, and in place of them, forged or fake copper coins or brass coins manufactured by the people in their home itself came into circulation. This led to the depreciation, and foreign merchants refused to do business in India, and revolts spread out in different parts of the country, and while suppressing a rebellion in Sindh, Muhammad Tughlaq died in 1351. Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Firoz Shah Tughlaq succeeded Muhammad bin Tughlaq, and he became the ruler in 1351 CE and ruled till 1388. Though Firoz Shah was a great military leader, but he was not as capable as Muhammad bin Tughlaq, and he made no attempts to recover his lost territories. But other than this, he did much for the welfare of the people. He was a great builder, and he built gardens, schools, mosques and irrigation canals. As a result, agriculture and trade flourished in his kingdom. Several Hindu scriptures and scholarly writings on music were translated into Persian during his rule. He banned all kinds of physical punishments. When he died in 1388, no strong successor was left behind him. So at this time, Timur got a chance, and he invaded Delhi in 1398 and struck a death blow to the Delhi Sultanate and finally paved the way for Babur's conquest of India. The Sayyids. After the fall of the Tughlaq dynasty, a new dynasty arose known as the Sayyid dynasty. When Timur went back to his country, he entrusted the governorship of Lahore, Multan and Dipalpur to his deputy Khizr Khan, who later on became the ruler of Delhi in 1414, and he founded the Sayyid dynasty. Alauddin Alam Shah was the last ruler of the Sayyid dynasty, and they ruled Delhi until 1451. After the decline of Sayyid dynasty came the Lodi dynasty. The last ruler of the Sayyid dynasty was weak and incompetent, and he surrendered the throne to Bahlol Lodi, who was the Afghan governor of Lahore and Sirhind. Bahlol Lodi founded the Lodi dynasty in 1451 CE, and he ruled till 1489. The Lodi dynasty was the first Afghan dynasty to rule in India. Finally, Bahlol Lodi died in 1489, and he was succeeded by his son Sikandar Lodi. According to historians, Sikandar Lodi was one of the greatest of all the Lodi kings. He suppressed all the rebellious chiefs and he moved his capital from Delhi to Agra. Then he died in 1517 CE and he was succeeded by his eldest son Ibrahim Lodi, who became the ruler in 1517. But unlike his father, he did not have the administrative qualities and he could not extend his authority over the lost territories of the Delhi Sultanate. He became alienated. Alienated means he became unfriendly with the governor of Punjab, Daulat Khan Lodi, who later on invited Babur, who was a descendant of Timur from his father's side, to overthrow Ibrahim and to invade India. Babur defeated Ibrahim Lodi in the First Battle of Panipat in 1526 and finally laid the foundation of the Mughal Empire in India.